Hi, my name is Emily Kahn and I'm from ICT 200. So for my final project, I'm going to begin by going over the two bad infographics that I chose, reviewing why I thought those were bad infographics, and then moving on and explaining what I chose to do for the infographic that I created, or my improved infographic. So to begin with, I'm just going to jump right in to my first bad infographic and go into explaining why I thought that it was less than ideal. So here on the screen, I'm going to pull this over here. So for this infographic, while it is visually pleasing, while it's visually appealing, the colors are good, it's not boring to look at, there is a lot of information in very small font. So this is not pulled up small on my computer, and you cannot even see like what's in the center here of the little avocado stomach, like all of these words down here, like you really can't tell what any of this is saying. And I also find that the information on this infographic is kind of irrelevant to vegetarianism to a certain extent. So if you zoom in here, it talks about veganism, lacto-vegetarian, and then these statistics down here are unclear. This was one big thing about this one, was that even though this looks good at the beginning, if you really look into it, some of the statistics and what they're trying to tell you are really unclear. So down here it says, how low are your health risks? And then it says high blood pressure, 75%. So this statistic makes it seem like you have a 75% chance of having high blood pressure on a vegetarian diet. And it sounds like you have a 42% chance of having heart disease on a vegetarian diet, which is not true. So the way that was presented was really unclear, and that's something I definitely wanted to point out in this infographic. And then in the second one, for my second infographic down here, my second bad infographic, I wanted to pull this one up, and I think that the issues with this one are pretty obvious. From the very beginning, when you look at this one, the colors are really not appealing. They're very in your face, they're very bright. This orange background kind of has nothing to do with the theme. And then moving on to the actual information that's in this one, I want to actually pull up the infographic that we used whenever we did our infographic analysis assignment for the class, this one. So this is immediately what I thought of when I saw this other vegetarian infographic. This is terrible coloring. There are a lot of words that seem to have to do with absolutely nothing. And so this infographic is exactly what I thought of whenever I found this National Vegetarian Month infographic. The colors are bad, there's a lot of words, and unless you really look into it, you can't even tell what they're trying to present here. So the information, a squared plus b squared equals vegetarianism, is supposed to be, I guess, eye-catching, but instead it's just confusing. And so when we go on down and read the paragraph, which is written in very small, hard to see font on this orange background, we find that a squared plus b squared equals vegetarianism isn't really relevant to the idea that they're presenting at all, which is talking about Pythagoras, the mathematician. So this is a very confusing infographic. I have no idea what it's trying to tell us. I have no idea who put it together. It just leaves me confused. So for that one, that's what I had to say about that one. So I want to jump right in to my infographic that I created and show you guys what I tried to do, what I went for with this guy. So I'm going to zoom in here. So at first glance, I really wanted to get rid of, from the first infographic, I wanted to get rid of the busy nature of it. I wanted to have a lot less words. I wanted to have a lot less statistics. I wanted to put only main ideas on the infographic so that the reader's eye immediately went to those ideas and they were able to remember and process those ideas, because that's, as we discussed in class, that's the entire point of an infographic, is to present ideas, to present information that the reader will remember easily. So I definitely wanted to stick with like bold font, just a few statistics, and keep it really simple. And then, so for the top up here, I try to keep relevant statistics on here. So I put the average increase of life expectancy. I put how many people want to go vegetarian. I put the percentage of population that is currently vegetarian, which was only 2%, which I thought was actually very low. And then the most startling statistic to me was the average age of vegetarians, which was 42. So I definitely tried to use surprising statistics that the reader would remember and that would catch their eye. As far as colors go with this one, I definitely wanted to keep the green kind of cool neutral tone background. So I used greens and blues. I thought it was pretty visually appealing. I think that this is not as busy as either one of them, and I think that it has a point. So that's where we improve off of the second infographic, is that it has a point. There's an idea to it. There's a theme. We understand what I'm trying to tell you when we look at this infographic. Okay, and then zooming into the pie chart, I wanted to put some kind of a visual chart element here because I think those are a really good way to catch the reader's eye, to grab their attention. So I put the chart element in the center of the infographic as kind of the eye-catching piece. And then you can see here I just put reasons that people would go vegetarian, which I thought was a good piece for this infographic. And then the last thing I want to talk about is spacing. How did I space this infographic? Why did I space it that way? So at the very top in the boldest font, we have our main idea. And then from that, I try to keep things extremely symmetrical. So all of our text is centered and split down the half. So all of the text and all of the visual elements of this infographic, I tried to keep as symmetrical as possible. I used all the same fonts. Nothing is too busy. There are no things, off to the side that we're focusing on that we shouldn't be. So that was my main idea for my infographic. And so overall, I would say that between these infographics, that I definitely did improve upon what was good, what was bad about both of them. So I tried to keep some of the ideas that were good and bad from each of them. As far as like the first one, I love the color scheme of that. I love how the colors play into one another. I love the theme of it. I love the font of the first one. So I try to keep all of those things and tie them into the one that I created. And then as far as the second infographic that I chose to improve upon, I don't have a lot to say about that one. It's obviously pretty rough. So I really wanted to use that one as an example of definitely what not to do for an infographic. So that was my project. That was my idea. Thank you.